So it's finally time that Abby does a review on this channel. I'm going to be reviewing We Were Liars by E. Lockhart. I'm going to give you a quick synopsis about the book, but it's going to be a little vague because I don't want to give anything away. So, here we go. This book follows a girl named Cadence, and she is part of the wealthy Sinclair family. Each summer, this family goes and spends time on their privately owned island. While on this island, Cadence spends time with her cousins and her cousin's friend, who are all about the same age, and they call themselves the Liars. One of these summers, Cadence has an accident that leaves her with horrible migraines and some amnesia. A few summers later, Cadence finally returns to the island and tries to piece together what really happened that summer, the summer that she can't remember. Overall, I liked this book, but I didn't love it. But I didn't hate it. It was a book that kept me reading. I'm glad that I did read it, but it's not one of my favorites. That's not to say that it isn't a good book, though. It was beautifully written, and the characters were very complex, and the storyline was just wonderful. It just wasn't quite my cup of tea. So even if I might have given it a 2.5 out of 5 stars, that doesn't mean that someone else might not have given it a 4 out of 5 stars. In fact, a lot of people around BookTube have been giving it amazing ratings and amazing reviews. They've been really loving this book. And I enjoyed it too. Just not as much as I thought I would. And I think that's really what got me in the end. I went in having some pretty high expectations, and that might have kind of ruined my experience. Going into this book, I already kind of knew that there was going to be something big in this book that I was either going to be absolutely devastated about, or that was going to just kind of disappoint me. And unfortunately, in my case, it just kind of disappointed me. But not because it was a bad plot twist or anything, just because it didn't quite hit me as hard as I thought it was going to. I don't want to go too much into what the big plot twist was, because obviously no spoilers, but I think part of why it didn't affect me as much was because I didn't connect very well with these characters. In fact, I downright just disliked most of them. But I don't think that means that the author did a bad job writing these characters. In fact, I think she did an absolutely wonderful job. I don't think that these characters were meant to be absolutely lovable, but they were meant to make you think, and make you think about how complicated some people are. And it definitely did that. I learned to appreciate the characters and what they were going through, even if they weren't my favorite person, and even if I didn't quite agree with what they were doing. For instance, I got a little impatient with the main character Cadence just because I was itching for answers. I wanted to know what had happened, all of the mystery that was surrounding her accident. I just wanted to get some answers and find out what had happened. And yet Cadence seemed to be taking it very slowly and trying to unravel it piece by piece and not asking too many questions. So I became a little impatient with the pacing of the book because I just wanted to know right then what was going on. That might have lowered my enjoyment just because I was so ready to move on. It made me not enjoy little details about them going to the beach or eating a family dinner together because I was just ready to move on. I think if I went back and reread the book, I might be able to appreciate it more because I would be able to take the time and really enjoy those little scenes. Even though I didn't like the characters, I definitely loved how the author wrote them, and I loved how they interact. It is very evident that the Sinclair family in this novel is messed up. There's some pretty messed up people that just, problem. But I loved seeing how that affected each family member, and I loved seeing all these characters work together and all these different problems clashing with each other and how they were resolved, and that was such a huge part of the book, and I loved that. Even just the way that this book was written, using Cadence's voice, was super cool. It wasn't quite a stream of consciousness, and yet it was very intimate with what Cadence was thinking. We got to see kind of the ugly parts of her and these deep thoughts that she didn't want to tell anyone. We got to see her growth with her trying to figure these things out. It made you appreciate her as a character, even if you didn't like her, like I did. I was also left wanting more at the end of the book. Not so much a continuation of the story, but just a little more of seeing how this big reveal at the end of the novel affected the family and not just Cadence. The book was kind of cut off at the end after the big reveal. It told us a little bit about how Cadence handled it, but because of how involved all of the other family members were in the earlier parts of the book, I had wished that they had been included in the ending. Because this whole family dynamic picture that had been painted the entire novel, I felt like it was so important, and yet we didn't get to see the true effect of the whole plot twist. It just kind of ended. I really wish we would have gotten to see more of the aftermath. But that's not to say that I didn't like the ending. I actually quite enjoyed how the story wrapped up. I thought that it was left very nicely, and Cadence said what she had to say. Overall, I gave this a 2.5/3 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. I liked it. The characters in this book, they were very well written. Each character was very unique, and seeing how this author wove them all into the same story and wove all their relationships together was very interesting. The storyline was also very interesting. It kept you turning pages, though it might have been a little slow at times. The big plot twist at the end was definitely a shocker. I would recommend this book to a friend, but it won't be added to my favorites. If this book sounds interesting to you, definitely just go for it. It's very short and you will probably enjoy it. So that is my review for We Were Liars, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!